So we should be live with the absolutely gorgeous Lauren Evans. So Lauren has actually been on my radar for probably about 18 months now, I think, maybe a year, when she started popping up on Facebook here and there. And I'm thinking, who's this gorgeous girl, mummy, glamorous mummy, and posting all these valuable things on Facebook. And so I started following her business page and realized that Lauren is a GP and she's a dermatology specialist. And on top of having an already crazy life, she's got two young children, two girls, same as me, 1 and 3, who interestingly enough are the same age that my daughters were when I started my Arbonne business. So I know exactly what you've got going on. So huge congratulations, Lauren, because you've been building your business for 2 years now, living in Glasgow, and you've just promoted to regional vice president. Woo! And I want to know everything. So tell us, how on earth did Arbonne find you?
Right, well, thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm going to get blushy here, just go blushed. Anyway, so yes, my name's Lauren, and I love saying this because it's new. I'm an independent consultant, regional vice president with Arbonne International, this amazing company. How did I get started? It's a bit of a story, so I'll try and keep it succinct. As Danny said, I'm a doctor, very successful in my own right, but one thing I love being a doctor. I love helping people. I love that side where you get to be part of people's lives and changing their lives. But I'll be honest, I wasn't in love with the work-life balance. I had a good income, but I felt like I was on a hamster wheel. So I don't know if anyone there relates to that kind of feeling of just every day kind of rushing, getting to work, giving my all to everyone that I was seeing, because that's the only way I know how to be a good doctor, is to give 100% of me. But 40 patients later, getting home and having not very much left of me, trying to then fit in life, trying to actually have some sort of social life, as well as things that needed done, as well as seeing my husband. And then eventually, when I fell pregnant, also trying to see my children, and then going to bed exhausted and waking up the next day just to repeat the same thing. And I think something hit me and going, is that going to be it for the next 40, 50 years? And I think it really, really struck home when I was thinking about, after my first maternity leave, do I go back to work full time and maintain that full level of income, but I have no time? Or do I go back half time and have some kind of breathing space, get to see my children, but literally my income halved? Didn't matter how many hours I was working before, how many years I'd worked at something. If I reduced my hours, they're just like, right, fine, we'll reduce your pay. And I think I kind of went, well, is that it? So I did what a lot of doctors do, thinking that I was being independent and entrepreneurial, is I set up my own traditional bricks and mortar business where I use my hands. I became trained in doing Botox and fillers and more cosmetics dermatology. And essentially I was paid every time I saw a patient. So if any of you on here have your own self-employed business, you might relate to that, where you have to physically be there seeing someone in order to get paid for that day. And I was able to reduce my hours in the NHS to half, and then I had my clinic half time. And I loved it. I loved the flexibility of it. I loved the autonomy of it. But when my daughter was sick with chickenpox for 2 weeks, and I couldn't go in for 2 weeks, my income for that stopped, because when you're self-employed and your hands are your money, that income stops if you have to stop working. And I think by then I was pregnant with my second daughter, so I realized I won't even have a maternity pay from this. So I again educated myself. I educated myself about, right, I've done this twice, and I've essentially just transferred that hamster wheel from the NHS to my clinic. If anything, I spread it between the two, and I educated myself on different ways of earning an income, and I became fascinated by the concept of time leverage. Now, a lot of you might understand that, some of you might not, but what I understand by it is where you get paid multiple times over for one period of work. Very different to if you have a salary and you're getting paid for a certain number of hours, or if you're working using your hands to work and you get paid essentially per hour per client. So being paid multiple times over for one period of work really appealed to me, because it made me realize that I could grow something where an income grows, but the level of work didn't need to grow, and therefore I could have both time and keep my level of income. So I educated myself in lots of different ways, and essentially I learned about property investing and all these other different ways. But what really struck home to me was I didn't have a lot of capital. I just spent a lot of money on a bricks and mortar business. I didn't have a lot of time. Then I was working my job and my business, and I was working more than full time between the two of them. I had a 1-year-old at home and I was pregnant with my second daughter. So anything that would take up too much time to build this was, not possible. And I wasn't willing to restart from scratch. I'd just done that with my clinic. So when I heard about social marketing, it ticked so many boxes. You didn't need high capital. You didn't need to reinvent the wheel, essentially, because you plugged into a really simple system that was already there. And I didn't need to take huge amounts of time. I needed to carve out time. Yes, I didn't have lots of time when I started. Frankly, I had nearly no time. But I saw the value in carving out time for this so that I could grow a business. Now, I understood the business model first, and I then went and searched for a company I could back. So I'm quite different. Some people hear about Arbonne and then they hear about social marketing. I was different. I understood social marketing first. And I'll be honest, I looked at lots of different companies, and nothing compares to Arbonne in terms of our culture, in terms of our ethics, in terms of, just the fact that we're #1 healthy living inside of that just ticked so many boxes. And it just happened to be that the person who showed me about the business worked with my husband. We bumped into them. I heard a bit about it. And once I met the people, I think it was the people that really made me decide this was the company for me. So that was 2 years ago, and that's how I got involved.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So it was Rachel that you're sponsored by Rachel Chan, aren't you?
Yes.
I was lucky enough to go on the Caribbean cruise with her a couple of years ago, and Barry and Mia, she didn't have a second daughter then, and they are such a cute family. They really are.
So sweet. And she's been such a lovely mentor, and more importantly, we've become such good friends as well along the way. So I couldn't be more grateful to her for just basically showing me how all this works.
And it's really interesting what you should say about the culture of Arbonne. So from working within the NHS and within obviously having your clinic, do you find that having the Arbonne side of it, people tell me this, they're like, I just love having this like family and everyone's so supportive. Can you see a massive difference?
Huge difference. I think in the NHS in particular, I think a lot of people are disgruntled. It's unfortunate. They want to do more, but because of the culture of the way things are, they're very disgruntled. People are they like to moan. And in the clinic, I mean, it's not like the clinic down the street is going to tell you this is how we're successful. If anything, it's quite catty in the aesthetics world sometimes. So to have a culture where it's in everyone's interest that we all help each other. I mean, the fact that I'm it's lovely to be able to help you, and I know that we can all help each other. We all learn from each other. And the fact that we do so much personal development, because the only way that anyone entrepreneurial, and that doesn't have to be in this business, but anyone who does anything entrepreneurial has to learn how to be more positive, solution focused, and just generally more outgoing. And it's something that even if you don't have it to start with, you slowly build on it, which has so many positive aspects on our relationships with each other, and obviously relationships outside of Arbonne. So yeah, it's made me a better doctor, better mum, definitely. I don't know if you feel that, Danny.
Oh, 100%. I used to be one of the mums that I never wanted to be, like shouting and stressing. Now it takes a lot for my buttons to be pressed.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I still sometimes, my kids still sometimes hit some buttons of mine. But yes, overall, much more patient and just solution focused, definitely.
Absolutely. So you've been with Arbonne for 2 years now. What's been a particular highlight for you in your journey so far?
Highlight, I think suddenly realizing, it's been a couple. One was, I'll be honest, my first 4 months of business, I was terrified, because even though I understood the business model, I know some people don't understand it out there. So I was terrified of letting people know what I was up to, sharing anything about this. And I think I went to my very first kind of big Arbonne event. It was a leadership academy in Manchester. And suddenly realizing that I was good enough for this, realizing that there were so many possibilities if I wanted to grab them, which I don't get when I'm in my normal job. I don't get even in my clinic at that kind of feeling of it's okay to have big dreams and it's okay to go for them. And this is actually, it's possible with this if you want to work it. So I think that first realization, and when I realized that, 4 months later, I'd promoted twice to area manager. My first paycheck as an area manager was higher than my half-time NHS paycheck. So that was my second favorite point, that feeling of choice. And that's the key thing. This business gives you choices. You don't have to be passionate about skincare or health and wellness, but you can be passionate about how time leverage gives you choices. So the minute I had that, I knew I wanted to help a lot of people have that. And then more recently, For those of you who are already in the business, you might have seen lots of things about what happens when you promote, but I've recently become a regional vice president, and we went to this vice president retreat a few weeks ago, and the fact that you get treated literally like royalty, and just feeling like I'm at home here, you know, there's so many people, you're just a big hug, essentially. So that was my third favorite part of this entire journey, but I know there'll be so many more. That's the exciting thing. You know that you're excited for the next few years to come. It's just the beginning.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So you've already explained about how much you get from the business. Obviously, you get a great paycheck. You've got a great incentive in the terms of the culture and the environment and then the recognition. But let's talk about the products for a second, because we are a product-driven company. So we can't forget how fabulous these incredible products are. What have been your biggest, like, oh my gosh, I cannot live without this product, or I'm so overwhelmed, I can't cope? What are your favorite can't live without products?
Oh my God, this is a hard one, because literally, if you look at my handbag, Arbonne things fall out. It's just, I have stuff with me everywhere, but I have fallen in love with the nutrition. I mean, considering I have a dermatology background, I absolutely love the skincare range. I used to be on prescription strength skincare, and I haven't looked back since I switched over, so I think that's just become so integral. But one I couldn't live without in terms of the nutrition are the fizz sticks. I look at your face, you're like, yes. I just love how you can just have them in your bag and you can just add them to water on the go. And I mean, I used to be a double espresso drinker, like 3 or 4 of those a day, and I'd get that kind of buzz. You'd be alert for a bit and you still get the twitching and the palpitations, but an hour later you'd have this slump. And now I just have 2 fizz sticks a day and I'm just on an even keel, and everyone's asking me, how do you have so much energy? And you know, just I like the personal development and the fizz sticks. Those are my answer.
Are you citrus, a plum, or a blackberry?
I'm torn between blackberry and pomegranate, depending on my mood. So pomegranate's when I want something a bit sweeter. Blackberry is lovely when you have it in hot water.
Yeah,
it's just delicious in hot water. And another one I think have to be the retinol genius packs. It's actually the product that made me decide, along with the culture, that Arbonne was definitely the business I want to be part of, because if I look for a skincare brand, ask any dermatologist and they know retinol is one of the key ingredients that actually does loads and loads of positive stuff for your skin. And so the minute I saw that Arbonne had an amazing retinol product and I saw the results with it, that really sealed the deal for me.
I love the Genius pads. Do you know what? I didn't take before photos, but I actually had chickenpox scars from when I was younger, and I just was naturally using the Genius pads, didn't expect anything other than that my skin would obviously be a little bit tighter and look a little bit better. And then after a few months, I was like, do you know what? I was like, my chickenpox scars have gone down, and now you can barely see them, and it is shocking. Like, you just never imagined to get those results from these little pads, would you?
Yeah. No, retinol is just, it does so many things. And yeah, I recommend them to absolutely everyone with so many skin conditions, because it actually covers so much stuff, and it literally is like an eraser for your face, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I used it on my C-section scarring as well.
What else do you love? I want to know what yours are.
Citrus fizz sticks are my number one. Citrus fizz sticks, followed by the ABC sun cream.
Yes. See, I'm not a citrus. I've seen personally. I prefer the sweet ones. But otherwise, what else falls out of my bag? It becomes an Arbonne bag. Is the protein bars. Have 1 or 2 every single day. I love the cranberry one, the cranberry and pumpkin seed one, just on its own. But there's a dark chocolate one that I have in the microwave for literally like 10 seconds, and it becomes like
it's like brownie.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I mean, frankly, it's a whole new 30 days. 30 days is a huge part of my life and of my business. So, I mean, if I could say a whole range, and it would just be the 30 days, frankly.
I love it. Claire's on. Claire's saying hello. So Claire is a local GP to me, and you introduced her to the business all the way from Glasgow, didn't you?
Yes. Hi, Claire. We've never met. The wonders of social media, the wonders of internet, is that you literally this business can reach so far beyond than the network that you can even think about when you first start, and you can learn all these skills. I mean, when I started, I literally you talked about how you added yourself to my business page. For the first year of my business, I had no business page. I had no Instagram. It's something that I decided I wanted to learn how to do later. And now you get to meet a whole new world of people like Claire, who is an absolute angel in my business.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So I'm going to ask you one final question, and then I know that you've got to go because you're busy, and I absolutely respect that. And I love that you've shared some time with us. But this is my final question. So there are lots of people that are on live right now that have either got an Arbonne business, or that are considering starting an Arbonne business for them. For the people that are kind of on the fence, they're like, yeah, the products are nice, business sounds fun, but I'm still just not quite sure. And they're just kind of sat there. What would be your advice?
Well, obviously I would say just do it. But the reason being is get your questions answered. If the reason you're on the fence is because you can't picture what it would look like in your life, or you're just literally just can't quite fully understand it, get your questions answered first. That way you can really know that what you're saying yes or no to. Though frankly, I think once you understand time leverage and you understand that the other forms of getting time leverage require a lot more time, a lot more effort, or a lot more financial commitment, or a lot more risk, this just makes so much sense. At least it did to me. If it's fear that's making you stop because you're like, what will people think of me? Or can I make it work? Please don't let fear stop you from doing something that could potentially be absolutely amazing, because I know that I had fear and it let me stop when I was at the beginning of my business. I had a big ego. I was terrified of letting people know of something that I was doing because it's slightly different, and I was so attached to my role as a doctor, and it really crippled me, and my business didn't move the first 4 months, and I can understand that people wouldn't even start for the very same reasons. And all I would say is one of the things that changed, apart from actually going to an event, so if you have something local that you can go to that will help you kind of see the bigger picture, go to that. But the other thing that helped me was, what would I look back on when I was about 80 years old? Look back on my life. Would I be happy that I just stayed safe and I just kept in my comfort zone? I just stayed where I was? Because if you're not happy where you are, or you want something different, you're going to have to bring in something new, which might be a little bit scary. But frankly, it's never as scary as people seem to make it in their heads. I think I've got everyone who's, when they start with me, they always kind of have this relief within a few weeks in, going, that wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. That was actually lots of fun. I'm like, yes, I told you it was lots of fun. This business is so much fun. But for some reason, we make big things in our head and fear lets us take over. So don't let that take over. Get your questions answered. And frankly, what's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is you have some amazing skin, really healthy, and that is literally the worst that can happen. The best thing that can happen is you can have so many things change. I mean, for me, last month, my paycheck was higher than my full-time doctor wage, and yet I was working part-time hours, and I'm not even a regional, but that was from when I was still an area manager. So and that's within 2 years. And what else could you do within 2 years to have that sort of income around a family to give you choices? Frankly, I have not found anything else quite like this, that you get all the culture and personal development along the way. So do it.
Oh my gosh. And on that note, wow, Lauren, you are a megastar, and I know you're going to be a national vice president so soon. You are phenomenal, and thank you so much for doing this at such short notice as well. That's just a testament to the person that you are, the kindness, and you just exuberate just complete and utter love, and I just adore you, and I'm so glad that I got to finally meet you in person the other day, and I look forward to continuing your journey as you keep progressing to nation and beyond.
Thank you. We'll be in Maui together. I know it.
Thank you everybody for joining us tonight.
Bye.
Bye.